price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters. Welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. We're going to be discussing this evening Kamala's interview with the NABJ, how horrific it was, how it didn't move the needle, and how a lot of people, in fact, are actually very offended and off-put by her interview. We have several different clips. We're not going to go through the whole thing. The interview wasn't really that long to begin with, but we're going to discuss the few parts where it was mainly containing to what Black people are interested in things about her policies around Black people. So I want you guys to lock in, hit that like button on your way in. I just got to, did not mean to press that button. Want to mute my phone real fast so I don't get distracted. I see everybody in here. I appreciate you guys. Now, the thing is that the election is really close. Very, very close. Really less than 2 full months away. So she's going on these very controlled interviews. The interviews she's going on are very controlled. The interviews she's going on are very light. They're very light with the questioning. They don't give any pushback. There's no type of passive aggressive remarks. There's no type of fact checking or anything like that. They're asking her questions that really can't really make her look bad. But even though they're asking her all of that, she still wind up looking bad. She's still doing terrible. So we're going to get right into it. The first question that they asked was about the economy. And if you guys remember, when we did the discussion about the debate, the first question that they asked about the debate was also about the economy, because that's the number one issue that concerns Americans going into this election. That's the number one American issue. So without any further ado, I'm going to play the copyright infringement claim so we don't have any problems going forward. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Appreciate that Cash App from our good brother Antithesis. I appreciate you. So this is our first question.
A question that has been asked of you and everybody that's on the Democratic side is whether or not voters are better off now than they were 4 years ago. Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
So when we came into, well, first of all, let me just say it is good to be with the National Association of Black Journalists, and I thank you for the work you're doing that your members do every day. It is very important that we ensure that this organization and your members always have the resources and the platforms to deliver the voices that must be heard. So I thank you for hosting me today. 4 years ago, when we came in.
First off, I want to say this, and I don't know if anybody caught this, and this may just be my opinion on this. It might just be my opinion. But the way she kind of said, oh, we just want to make sure that we give you guys the resources and everything like that to make sure you guys can keep going forward. She alluded to that. To me, it comes off as if, hey, we can help you guys out. You help me out, I'm gonna help you out. We're here. I'm so glad that you're hosting this conversation today. So, we can help you get your platforms and your voices up. Wink, wink. Don't beat me up with these questions. Don't make me look bad with these questions. That's kind of how that read off to me, because that was so awkward to say right before you answer the very first question. Y'all like, yeah, it's really good that we give you guys the resources and money that you need, but let's go on with the questions here. That's the way it felt to me. It felt like this is a warning, like, hey, y'all want to stay in good graces, don't you? I'm sure you do. And maybe that just might be my personal opinion, but that's how I took that statement. All right. But this is her answering the question.
We came in during the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. We came in during the worst.
A reminder, the question was the same question that was asked during the debate. Do you feel that the economy is better off now than it was under Trump? That was the question. And then look at what she's talking about the pandemic and everything.
Public health epidemic in centuries. We came in after the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And a lot of it due in large part to the mismanagement by the former president as it relates to COVID and obviously January 6th. And we had then a lot of work to do to clean up a mess. As of today, we have created over 16 million new jobs, over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. We have the lowest Black unemployment rate in generations. We have invested in small businesses, and they're to the benefit of many people, but including Black small businesses, some of the highest rate of creation of new Black small businesses in years. We have done the work of capping the cost of.
Now, I want to put this into context, because you can tell people stuff like this, but when you not put it into context, you give people a distorted picture of what the reality really is. When the pandemic first hit, a lot of businesses closed down. A lot of people got laid off. A lot of businesses went bankrupt. They couldn't stay open. A lot of people started to work from home. Due to this reason, a lot of Black people who, as us, as foundational Black Americans, we're the most, absolutely the number one at the top with no competition, the most resourceful people in the world. We took that as an opportunity to start developing our own businesses. When we first got the stimulus checks and stuff like that, a lot of Black people were using that to be all like, okay, well, I'm gonna put like a few $100s aside on this. I'm gonna try to catch up on my bills and use whatever assistance I can use, and I'm gonna take this money and I'm gonna use that to fuel the business that I had already tried to get off the ground. So a lot of Black people were using that money because of that, and using the opportunity because a lot of businesses, they were cutting hours down. A lot of people were working from home. So if you have the opportunity to work from home, now you don't have to commute. Now it becomes the thing where you have a little bit more time on your hands and you can do a little bit more with that. So now, because you can work from home, now you can kind of work on this, your clothing website, or whatever the case is. Now you can work on this other business that you're trying to start up, or if you have some whatever type of business, credit repair business, any type of business, you have more opportunity because you have more time on your hands. And then there are certain moments where the government was giving assistance to everybody, not just Black people, but to everybody. And as foundational Black Americans, we've turned lemons into lemonade. We've turned lemons into lemonade with that situation. So there were a big rise in Black-owned businesses. I want to give you that context because what she's going to try to make it seem as if the rise in Black-owned businesses is directly due to the Biden-Harris administration, and that's not the case. There was already an uptick in the creation of new Black-owned businesses prior to them getting in office, okay? Because of the number one, the circumstances, which essentially forced a lot of people to be all like, well, I can't clearly rely on my job like that. Let me try to start this business on the side, or at least get my side hustle to get off the ground so I can have a cushion to fall on. And people use the opportunity of working from home, working less hours, any type of bonuses. There was a lot of nurses and people who work in like the medical field or whatever, and they were getting extra money because of the pandemic, because there was a lot of bonuses and stuff like that. They were getting incentive pay because of the pandemic. So a lot of Black women were using it. Well, Black men too, because Black men and women are in the medical field. So a lot of them were using that, and they were taking that extra money that they were making, and then they were taking that and putting that into a business. So we have to put that into context, because what they're going to do is they're going to make it seem like, well, you see, Black-owned businesses went up and we got in office around the same time Black-owned businesses went up. So 1 and 2, that means it's because of us. That's what she's going to try to make it seem like. We already have well over 100 people in the chat room, less than 10 minutes. I love you guys. Let's continue. Let's continue.
Prescription medication for our seniors for issues like insulin. And again, I'm speaking to the Black journalists who care about all people, but in particular, I'll talk about the impact on Black people, where we know Black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes. And we have now finally capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month, capped the cost of prescription medication for our seniors at $2,000 a year, because we, unlike the former president who promised to do it, we finally have allowed Medicare to negotiate drug prices against the big pharmaceutical companies. And these are just some of the accomplishments. Is the price of groceries still too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. And I will tell you, I do believe that I offer.
I want you guys to understand something too. Is it, Stephanie, is it your birthday? Shout out to Stephanie. It's our good sister Stephanie's birthday. Appreciate that. Can you guys leave some flowers in the chat room to celebrate our sister's birthday? Let's give a good FBA sister some birthday praise here. I appreciate you for being such a staunch supporter. Now, to get to the message, what she just said about the whole insulin and it's tomorrow. Okay, it's tomorrow. Okay. Well, you can do it today anyway, because I'm not gonna be live tomorrow. So y'all do it today. The whole thing that she's talking about, the whole insulin prices and stuff like that, that's not, we're talking about the economy. You cutting the prices on insulin does not have to do, that doesn't affect the economy. And they're letting her completely dodge the question and divert into, look, we are able to cut the prices on insulin for seniors. Okay, first off, that doesn't affect the economy at all. It doesn't affect the economy, and that's not, and you're only doing it for seniors. You're not even doing it for anybody who has diabetes. That's only for seniors who have to qualify for that. What does this have to do with the original question? And she's saying this stuff as if people can't see through this, but people can and will.
A new generation of leadership for our country that is about, in particular, turning the page on an era that sadly has shown us attempts by some to incite fear, to create division in our country, and to do the work that is about bringing some level of optimism and, dare I say, ambition about what I know is possible in our country. And so my plan for the economy includes what I imagine and believe and call an opportunity economy. What we can do to grow an opportunity economy where all people have access to the resources to compete, to apply their incredible work ethic, their ambition, their aspirations, and their dreams, and actually not just get by, but get ahead. And I can talk in more detail about it, but specifically, I'll mention a few things. Yeah. One of the big issues that affects people right now in terms of the economy and their economic well-being is we have a shortage of housing supply.
No.
It's too expensive.
It's not necessary. No. Okay. Let's put this into its context. It's not a shortage necessarily of housing supply, even though to a degree, but that's not the full answer. All right. That's hurting the economy. One of the main things that's hurting the economy is not just the shortage of it, is the affordability of it. And the reason why the affordability of it is so outrageous is because of the fact that they allow private donors to buy up all of the real estate in rural areas, not just commercial areas, but rural areas. They're allowing private donors. There's no restrictions. There's no regulations on private donors, big wealthy millionaires, multimillionaires, to buy a whole bunch of single family houses. And then when they do that, they can set the price for however they want to set the price. Another issue, and these are things that they're not going to explain, so this is why it's very important to get this clear. Another issue is the fact that when you have inflation skyrocketing and going up in property taxes, because the government is spending money on things that the government shouldn't really be spending money on, and they up the property taxes, then the private landlords are going to have to up the rent, because the private landlords keep having to pay property taxes on the properties that they do rent out. If they have the property taxes go up, that means that the number of money that they're going to get, the income, the revenue that they get from the tenants, is going to really decrease in their in comparison. So what they have to do, if the property taxes go up, then that means that the landlords will have to go up on the rent. And if the landlords go up on the rent, then that hurts everybody, because that makes it more difficult for people to pay, because it's not like these people can afford to keep paying higher rent and higher rent and higher rent and higher rent, because the way America is set up, people are not gaining income like that. A lot of people, majority of people, they reach a certain level of income and that's their peak. They don't really tend to make too much more than that. Majority of American people don't have this elevating income where they're always making more money every so often. They have this thing where this is really their income level, and maybe so often they might have a little bit more money, but that's really their income level. That's the majority. That's not even a black thing. That's just a majority thing. So when you have property taxes go up and the landlords have to charge more money for the rent, it hurts them. On top of the fact that everything in America is also more expensive now than it was 4 years ago. On top of the fact that they're allowing private corporations and donors to buy all this land up, and then they get to raise the prices to whatever they feel like they want to do. And there's no restriction to that. That's why when they say, oh, we have a housing shortage, so what they will tell you is that, well, we need to build more affordable housing. No, you do not need to build more Section 8, which you're going to either the government is going to own. So that means there's not going to be any home ownership, because you never own a Section 8 house. There's not going to be any home ownership, or a private donor is going to own that, which still you will never have home ownership. That's the reason. The people who have houses, they don't want to sell their house because the prices of houses are so expensive. The property taxes, the interest, the mortgage is so expensive. They'll save much more money keeping the house that they have. So people who have houses, they don't want to sell their house because they got to find someplace else to live. So you're having that. This is why there's a housing shortage, which you want to call a housing shortage issue. But it's layered with all of these other issues that's compiled on top of it. That's why you have to put all of this stuff in its proper context. Because if she says, oh, we just need to build more affordable housing, no, that's not the answer. You got to fix all this other stuff that leads to this problem. All right. She's not going to say that. We're going to get back to it. She's not going to say that because she has no intention on really fixing the problem.
So people can't afford to buy a home. You know, we grew up, our parents, where they had the ability to somehow believe the American dream was attainable. Not so much for younger working people. And I recognize that. So my approach is a new approach, which is to say, let's just take this and deal with it head on. And part of my approach is to say, I'm going to employ and engage the private sector, in particular home builders with tax credits, to give them the incentive to create new housing, 3 million by the end of my first term, and understanding that not everybody is, handed a silver spoon, but works hard and is trying to save up for a down payment. Part of my plan under my opportunity economy is to give first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance so they can just get their foot in the door to be able to then engage in what will prove to be their opportunity to build intergenerational wealth. And here's my personal experience coming at that.
Okay, and so to put that in put that in its proper context, so you understand when the first term home buyers and everything, she's really mainly the main people who will benefit from that are illegal immigrants. She is not, I promise you, she will not put any type of restrictions on the benefits that us as citizens get and then folks who are illegal get. There will be no difference at all. California is already starting that. California's already on board. While they stopping our reparations, while they're killing bills to stop our reparations, they're giving illegal immigrants houses. All right. So this is their plan. So the whole first time home buyers thing, that might seem all fine and dandy. You might seem like, as a younger person, you might look at it and be all like, okay, well, I would like to buy a home one day and I could apply for this program and that might really help me out. But no, as foundational Black Americans, you're going to be put at the back of the list because the illegals are going to come in first and they're going to get it. And that's if you can apply for it, to be very honest, because there's a lot of red tape and things such as that for you to apply for it. Let's continue because she's almost done with her first question. Answer.
I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother was hardworking. She raised me and my sister Maya. She saved up, and it was only by the time I was a teenager that she could afford to actually buy her first home. And I know, and I identify with, I know where I come from.
Madam Vice President.
And I know, but I'm just gonna finish. I know that so many people work so hard and should have the opportunity to just get their foot in the door. Again, so it's not just about getting by, but getting ahead. Please.
Man, stop. Stop that. Stop it. All of this stuff about, well, my mother, she had to save up and all that stuff. And I come from a middle income home, so I can relate to it. No, we're not doing that. I can relate to a middle income home because my mother had to save up and my parents got a divorce, but they co-parented very well. That is not answering the question. I'm going to tell you something. This is why I have an issue with them asking the exact same question again and allowing her. Now, I understand they might have had a limited amount of time to get the question across. They might have had a little bit amount of time to deal with her. So they all like, okay, well, and we got a number of questions. So let me hurry up and try to get as many questions out as possible. The problem with them asking her the same exact question and then allowing her to literally get away with giving the same exact answer that she did with the debate a week or so ago is because you don't get anything new. You might as well have saved that time or used that time to ask a different question, because you're only asking a question so you can get some answer that you don't know. You're asking a question because you want to get a perspective or an answer to a question that you don't know her stance already on. If you ask the exact same question in the exact same way and she gives the exact same answer, you just wasted time. Nobody in the audience, nobody listening has learned anything from this. Nobody is looking at this and being like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was her stance on that. Everybody knows that because that's exactly the same thing she said during the debate. What they should have asked her was that she has been going around for the last 4 years, close to 4 years, and saying that Bidenomics is working. Bidenomics is working. The question that they should have asked her was, do you still believe that Bidenomics is working? Because don't talk about what you came into. Don't talk about that. Talk about Bidenomics working. Let me show you this real quick.
Bidenomics is working. It's a term we're very proud of, I must tell you. Because Bidenomics is working. It's working. Bidenomics. Bidenomics. And Bidenomics is working. All of this is part of our blueprint together for what America can be. This is Bidenomics. Bidenomics. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics.
Okay. So this is her on Bidenomics. So let's keep this in mind. That's the question they should have asked her. She talking about, oh, well, let's be honest. We came into this. You're talking about, and we came into the worst thing since the Civil War, the worst you talking about January 6th. January 6th, ma'am, has absolutely nothing to do with the economy today. If January 6th happened or didn't happen at all, what would that have to do with the economy? That's unconsequential to the question of the economy today. And they allowed her once again to sidestep the question. Again, we have no idea. That's what they should have asked her. They said, well, Miss Harris, we've seen you on multiple occasions saying that the economy is good, the economy is getting better, and that Bidenomics is working. Now you're saying that the price of food is too high, gas is too high, housing is too high. Do you still stand with the opinion that Bidenomics is still working? That's what they should have hammered her down on. That they should have had her stick to that, because then she couldn't deflect to talk about January 6th. You need to get a quote from her and then question her on her statement that the economy is good, not asking the same question that was already asked during the debate, and then allowing her to stick to the same deflective answer that she did during the debate. They shouldn't have allowed that. They shouldn't have. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next thing. Then she talks about, then they bring up black men and voting for Donald Trump, and how some statistics bring up or mention that there is black men, a number of black men, a higher percentage of black men than it was last time, who are actually going for Donald Trump. So she answers that.
Madam Vice President, black men, as you know, are a closely watched voting bloc. You've hosted black men at your residence.
Yep.
You have engaged black men and centered them in your economic opportunity tour. But polling shows that some black men, particularly young black men, are considering voting for Donald Trump, and they see him as better for the economy. What is your message to young black male voters who feel left out of this economy, and how can your economic policies materially change their lives?
So I appreciate the spirit of the question, but I'll tell you, I've often been asked this question in a way that I've had to respond by first saying that I think it's very important to not operate from the assumption that black men are in anybody's pocket. Black men are like any other voting group. You gotta earn their vote. So I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black, but because the policies and the perspectives I have understands what.
So her PR team clearly said that in this conversation, you need to state that you're black, because you're getting drug all over the internet by trying to avoid you being black. She's been trying to avoid it for the longest time. And now she was all like, oh, because I am. And you saw the little pause. She didn't want to say it. You saw that little pause, because I am. She had to swallow like black, I guess. She didn't want to say that. She didn't want to say that. But let's continue.
We must do to recognize the needs of all communities. And I intend to be a president for all people. Specifically as it relates to what we need to do, to your point around economic opportunity. Yes, I started way before I was at the top of the ticket, what I called an economic opportunity tour, focused on black men. Understanding that, for example, we have so many entrepreneurs in the community who do not have access to capital, but they've got great ideas, an incredible work ethic, the ambition, the aspiration, the dream, but don't have the relationships necessarily. So my work has included, as vice president, getting billions more dollars into community banks, including working with the big banks to do that, so that we can increase access to capital for our small businesses, for our startups. Part of my plan under my economic opportunity.
Now, this is a trick. We have to fully break this down. This is a big, big trick. Actually, and we're going to get back to it. The whole thing about what we're gonna really do is we're gonna put more money into the small business, the small banks, and the small and incentivize, which means give money to incentivize the big banks to do the same thing. No, first off, she's not saying black-owned banks. She's not saying that at all. She's not saying that. She's saying small banks. She's not saying black-owned banks. And why she's not saying black-owned banks is because she's not going to do anything that's only going to benefit black people. You guys remember this clip?
That have resulted in the greatest disparities. And we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this. Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
Now, to play that clip, I want you guys to understand this is her mentality going forward. When you talk about banks getting loans, the banks don't give anybody money. They damn sure don't give black people money. What they do is they give loans. That means they give you interest. Even if it's low, you still will have to pay back more money to the bank than the bank gave you. Even if it's very, very low, you still have to give them more money. Otherwise, it would be a grant. The banks don't give grants out. The banks give loans. You're giving money to the bank so they can give loans to people. If they do, you're giving it to them, and then they would have to give more money to the banks. That's not, no, we're not going to do that. And a lot of small banks, just because the bank is not big and the bank is small, does not mean that the bank does not discriminate. Let's go into the facts about this, because we're fact checking everything. Since nobody else wants to do it, we got to do it. We just had 200 people in here. I appreciate you guys. We'll get right back to it. In 30 minutes, we get right back to it. All right. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button on the way in. This comes from newamerica.org, and this is discussing small banks and community banks. When people say things like small, when people say things like community, these are supposed to be little words that make you think that it's grassroots and that it has a less likelihood of discrimination, but it doesn't. Now, listen to this. It says, while these banks, this is like a paragraph in, while these banks practices have captured national headlines, racially discriminatory practices are not confined to large and national Wall Street banks and are likely ambiguous. Hold on. Excuse me for a second. Ubiquitous, I mispronounced it. Ubiquitous across U.S. financial services and evident in the most basic in financial products. Racially discriminatory practices can also be observed within small and community, quote, Main Street banks, small and community mainstream banks. So this is not just because it's Chase. People talk about, well, Chase discriminates, and Chase does discriminate. Wells Fargo, US Bank, all of these big main banks with the commercials and the ones that you see that have banks all across the nation. That does not mean that those are the only banks that discriminate. Just because you give something to small and community does not mean that there is no type of racial discrimination. You give this money to them in the community, there will still be racial discrimination. It continues to say banks nostalgically lauded in the mainstream public discourse as friendliner and more trustworthy. People assume just because they use the word small and community that they're less discriminatory, and that's not true. Continues to say small and community banks practice sometimes reveals less scrutiny given their public perception, limited geographic scope, and lower share of deposits. So that means, if we're going to be very honest and put this into full context, that means that small banks can get away with discrimination at higher rates than large banks, because the news is going to pick up on Chase discriminating. The news is going to pick up on US Bank discriminating. The news is going to pick up on Fifth Third Bank and all of these big banks, and Wells Fargo and all of these big banks. You got a small community bank which doesn't really make the headlines. They will get to discriminate more. So what they're going to do is they're going to be all like, well, hold on now. We gave it to small, not black. Notice she didn't say black. We gave it to small banks. We gave it to small banks, didn't we? So you can't say anything to us. We gave the money to them. It's, if y'all didn't apply for the loan or y'all didn't qualify for the loan, it's not on us. It's on the bank. We gave it to the bank now. Now, the thing is that this allows the bank to have full range over who they give the money to and then the interest rate in which they will apply to the application. This allows the bank to do that. So you, as a black person, as a foundation black American, you're going to have to go into the bank. You're going to have to show several months, years possibly, of check stubs that you have income coming in that helps you out, or in that you can be able to prove so you can pay this bank back. You're going to have a crazy high credit score and all of this stuff. Then you're going to have to show the business. You're going to have to show your plan. You're going to have to do this. Now, your non-black counterpart won't have to put that much effort into it, which is why they have more access to capital now. The reason, and it's not a black man thing, it's a black community thing. This is not an issue that is very specific. We already, again, have over 200 people in the chat. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. This is not just a community thing. This is not a black man thing. It's a community thing. This is a community problem, because you see this whether it's black men or black women applying for business loans and things like that. They hate doing that. Business loans are the loans that they hate absolutely the most when it comes to giving to us. Now, if it was student loans, notice that they don't have any problem whatsoever giving black people student loans. They will give you crazy amount of student loans. You just walk in, ask, don't got to show no paperwork, don't show nothing. Just sign your name right here on the dotted line and you got it. Student loans, no problem. They don't have any. When it comes to car dealerships, you see, they don't really have that much of a fuss. When it comes to business loans, it's like, I don't really know about a business loan. I don't know if we can do that to you. We can give you the same amount of money for a student loan, but not a business loan. That's the game that they play. They make black people have to qualify, because redlining still exists, believe it or not. They make black people have to go through all these loops and all this stuff and all this red tape to get the same thing. And then the government is going to lean back and say, hold on, you can't blame us. You can't say it was us. We gave the money to the small bank in your community, and if they don't approve your application, it's not on us. No, it's not. It's not on us. That's them. Maybe you just need to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. Now, let me ask you something. To put this in its proper perspective, did they give Asians who are coming out of the internment camps, did they say, you know what, we're going to give you, and instead of giving you money, what we're going to do is we're going to put money in your bank and then or small banks, and then let small banks loan the money to you? No, they don't. These people are not getting loans, they're getting grants, something that you don't have to pay back, specifically for them. That money is going specifically for them. So the reason why they're saying, well, a lot of black men are looking at Donald Trump, it's the fact that what they have done for so many years is they've pandered to black women. With the whole Ketanji Brown Jackson. Oh my God, Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman on the Supreme Court. Oh my God, Kamala Harris, the first black VP. Oh my God, this is the first black woman. The Speaker of the House is a black woman. All these black women and the success and rise of black women. Pandering, completely pandering. They don't really get away with that with black men. And first off, they don't pander to black men. They've been trying to create this gender divide within the community, which they're starting to see is starting to shrink more and more. The divide that they have been able to create is starting to come together more and more. So it's not nearly as big of a divide as they need it to be. So that's why they're all like, well, black men feel left out. No, the black community. It's not just black men who feel left out. The black community is left out. And I don't even like to use the word feel. It's not even about I feel left out. I feel unheard. I feel neglected. No, looking at the paperwork, looking at the receipts, we are left out. We are neglected. That's the data. That's the real talk of it. That's the truth of it. Getting back to it, getting back to her answer. Oh, okay.
Plan going forward is that right now, startup entrepreneurs, small businesses only get a tax deduction of $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So I'm expanding that to $50,000.
Lord, okay. And I know I just paused it for a second. Don't get tripped up on the word tax deduction. Don't get tripped up on the word tax deduction. You're taking something and you can deduce it from your taxes. And when it comes, she's saying it's a limit of $5,000. No, and then she's going to increase that to 50,000. Oh, well, that's all grand. That's all great and everything. That's absolutely wonderful. But the thing is, you have to already have a business to even deduce that for the taxes, because you have differences between your personal taxes and business taxes. A tax deduction is not going to help anybody start a business. Tax deductions are only beneficial for people who already have businesses and who already deduct things from taxes if they want to expand or grow their business. That doesn't help anybody start. So she's saying nobody can start with $5,000. Ma'am, nobody can. It doesn't mean you can put $1 million tax deduction. That's not putting $1 million in their pocket. That means they can deduce it. That means if they buy, let's say you had a business trip that you had to go on for your business, you can deduce like the airplane tickets and the hotel stuff on your taxes and stuff. Like you can write that stuff off on your taxes. That's what that is. These are little trick words that she's using. She's trying to say something one time, and then next thing she knows, she says something else real fast. You can't start a business with that. That's why I'm doing a tax deduction thing, because a lot of people need to start up businesses. That's not going to help anybody. It's not going to help anybody. Just sitting up here lying, and these are supposed to be journalists not catching a damn thing.
Understanding, again, that when people have the opportunity to have the resources to get started, they're going to put the good ideas, they're going to put the hard work into it. And part of what I also know is that our young black men, just like any group of people, anybody, our small businesses are really the backbone of our economy overall. And when they do better economically, we all do better. Part of my work is about understanding what we need to do in dealing with, for example, the historic inequities that have faced the black community around home ownership, right? I don't have to go through the history with anybody here about what that has meant in terms of redlining, what that has meant in terms of biases in home appraisals, and what the impact it has had on stemming the opportunity to build intergenerational wealth because of those obstacles. So part of the work that I have done and will continue to do is identify, speak truth about those obstacles, and address them. Another example is medical.
What does that mean? Y'all, don't let politicians get away with that. Do not let politicians get away with that. They will announce a problem, and because for the longest time, they're so used to black people being ignored, because we have been ignored. They're so used to black people being ignored that the second somebody comes up and literally admits the truth of our problem, we go into pacify mode. It completely pacifies us. What does that mean? Oh, well, we have housing discrimination, very true. Appraisal discrimination, very true. Redlining, very true. And my solution is to speak truth to that. Your solution is to speak truth to that? No, what does that mean specifically? Since you brought this up, what does speaking truth to it mean? You're supposed to write legislation. You're not a book writer. You're not an activist. Okay? You're not a lobby. You are a politician who writes legislation down. You're talking about, and we have to do these things, and we really have to speak truth to these things, and we have to say these things, and we really have to have uncomfortable conversations. This is what politicians do all the time when they really don't either have a solution or want to fix the problem. What they'll do is they'll admit to the problem, and they'll say, hey, this is the problem. And what we really need to do is come together. We need to come together to discuss the intricate details. And really, hold on. Let me get into politician mode real quick. Black home ownership is not where it should be. Redlining, it's not where it should be, because it happened. And home discrimination, all of these things, they happened. And here's the part that we have to get to as a country. First, thank you for your question, because I think about this all the time. Sometimes I can't sleep thinking about this. So I go outside and I walk my dog. I have a new dog, you know. So I go outside and I walk my dog sometimes, and we walk around the park and everything like that. And I wave to the neighbors and I feed the ducks. We have some bread downstairs in the kitchen sometimes after toast. I love toast. So we have a little, I get the toast crumbs and I put the toast crumbs in the bag. And then when I'm outside walking my dog in the middle of the night, I throw it in the pond and I feed the ducks in the pond. So getting back to your question, we have to have a conversation like we're having now. We have to have a conversation on these problems, because they're real problems. They're real problems that have real effects, and the effects are real, and they are really have a real effect on real people living today. And I've always known that, and I'm not afraid to have the conversation that we need, because that's what we need. Because some people don't want to have it, but I think we've come to a place where united we can have that, and we can speak the truth to it with the facts about it, because we can't get anywhere without truth. And when we do that and we have these conversations, it can breed a generation that is more hopeful to your question that we had in the past, because we are evolving. Thank you. And then the journalist is going to just sit up there and be like, wow, that was such a intricate, detailed answer. Oh my God, I just can't believe it. Just sat up there and said nothing. Just sat up there and said absolutely nothing, and let this politician just go on and on and on and talk about all this word salad and all of this stuff, and completely just dodge the question like they Neo dodging bullets in the Matrix. Just dodge the whole question. And these are journalists who allow that to happen. Now, even if we are graceful and say the journalists allow that to happen, but they have a limited amount of time, don't let her do this word. That's word salad, man. That's word salad. But come on. We gotta finish.
Debt. 1 in 4 Black families or individuals is more likely to carry medical debt than others. So part of my perspective, and as vice president, part of the work that we have done is to say that we're going to eliminate medical debt from being on your credit score. Because until now, medical debt worked against your credit score, and people know their credit score like your weight, right? You know that number. And the difference between what that number is and what it needs to be is the difference between you being able to get a car loan, a small business loan, or even a leasing on an apartment. And so part of my approach is understanding the obstacles that traditionally and currently exist to allow anyone, including Black men, be able to achieve economic wealth. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think it is sufficient to just only talk about economic policy around reducing unemployment. It is an important marker, and I'm proud of the work that we've done thus far. But it should be a baseline there. Everybody's working. The point is, do people have an opportunity to build wealth? If that's what they choose to do, if that's what they want to do. And a lot of my perspective as we go forward is just that. I believe that there are a lot of opportunities that are available to the American people if we see people and understand what they want for themselves and their families, and then meet them where they are.
Madam Vice President, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the war.
What is that? What did she just literally said nothing. She literally said absolutely nothing. Okay. Just didn't say a damn thing. Did not say a damn thing at all. Completely dodged the question. And then you had these people who are supposed to be journalists not do nothing. They didn't interrupt her. They didn't say, well, okay, well, let's specify the question or ask a better question to that. She talking about medical debt. That's not what nobody talking about Trump. And nobody's talking about Trump because of medical debt on people's credit cards or on people's credit. No, oh Lord. Okay. But it don't stop there. It doesn't stop there, y'all. She continues. Then they ask her finally about reparations. This is what she had to say about reparations.
Vice President. To racial justice, Madam Vice President. Last month, you eulogized Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yeah.
Jackson Lee's signature bill, one of a few, was H.R. 40, which would create a commission to study the history of U.S. slavery and study the issue of reparations. She introduced H.R. 40 every session of Congress, taking up the mantle from Congressman John Conyers. This is a bill that you have co-sponsored as a U.S. Senator. Yet, this has, despite the fact that this has been, similar commissions have been created on the state level and on the local level, is yet to pass in Congress, let alone come out of committee. Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
Well, first of all,
and somebody in the chat room said a good point. Medical bill being on your credit report is a violation of HIPAA. So I don't think, I've never heard of medical debt being on your credit report, on your credit at all, to be honest. I've never heard of people not being able to get a business loan because of medical debt. I've never heard of that. But back to the question.
Let alone come out of committee. Congresswoman Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and other advocates have called for President Biden to take executive action to create this commission. Would you, as president, take executive action to create this commission, or do you believe that it should happen in Congress?
First off, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like that question. I don't like the way they asked the question. I don't like that, because by asking her, would you do this or would you do this, you're giving her an out. Ask a single question and make her give a definitive answer to that question. That's what you need to do. Every time somebody has this interview with Harris, there's always this, would you do this or would you do this? And they allow her to give this word salad, explain her way out of it, and completely dodge the question. They're giving her these outed questions where she gets to back up and get into the back door and then leave. No. If Sheila Jackson Lee is signing this HR 40 thing, and this is supposed to be a study for reparations, which we already can tell is BS, because the illegal immigrants don't need a study at all. They're getting food stamps, they're getting debit cards, they're getting houses, they're getting all this type of stuff. And no study is done whatsoever. No study at all is done, period. So if they don't need it, what do you mean to tell us we need it? And we've already had people studying this for years. That's that. Then you're saying, well, they said Biden, who could sign an executive order at least for the commission, and he refuses to do so. So the right question was for you to ask, would you sign an executive order for reparations, even if you want to use a reparations commission or HR 40? Would you sign as the president? Would you sign an executive order so we can get the ball rolling on reparations? Not, do you think you should do it or do you think Congress should do it? Of course, she's going to say Congress should do it, because Congress is never going to do it, because Congress has two parts, which is the House and the Senate, and majority of the time, even though they don't do it when they do have majority, but a lot of times they don't have both the House and the Senate, like right now. So they're going to say, oh, we got it through the House, but we can't get it to the Senate. So there's nothing we can do, even though When they do have the House and the Senate, they still don't get it done. But that's their excuse all the time. Their excuse all the time is, oh my God, the Republicans, y'all. That's why they like to, when it comes to things specifically for us. Let me really connect with y'all for a second. When it comes to things specifically for Black people, they always say, well, I really want to get this done through Congress. I want Congress to, because it's going to really stick when we get it through Congress. So that's why I really want Congress to do it. I could do it, but Congress has to do it. You know, I don't sign the executive orders except if it's for like illegal immigration or for giving money overseas or for anything and everything else. But when it comes to Black people stuff, let's try to go the Congress route. The reason that they consistently go the Congress route when it comes to any legislation as far as Black society is concerned is because through Congress, they always and for will ever use the excuse that the opposite party stops them from being able to do anything. They will always and forever use that excuse. They will always say, damn, it's the Republicans. Oh my goodness. We just can't get nothing done with these damn racist Republicans. That's why we need more seats. We need, and they've been doing it over and over and over and over. They don't use any executive order, any executive power. They don't threaten to veto anything. They try to give it to Congress the same way Biden was talking about a police oversight commission. And then the second he got in office, he said, well, I'm going to give the police oversight commission responsibility to Congress. And Congress never got it done. Because they know all of the promises I make, I will give it to Congress and Congress will let that die. That's what they know. So by asking her this question, you're giving her an out to say, well, I think that the smartest decision for this is to give it to Congress. I think if we gave it to Congress, that would be in everybody's best interest. Of course, she's going to say that. So that way, when it doesn't get done, she can say, well, it's not my fault it didn't get done. I tried to give it to Congress and Congress couldn't just get it done because of the Republicans and stuff. So it's not my fault at all. Just really, you blame Congress, not me. She's going to do that because then nobody can press her and hold her accountable for lying about it. So, and these journalists, if I know that these journalists know that, or at least they should, if they don't, they shouldn't be journalists. So I know that that's going to be an out that they're going to use, that she's going to use, which is why they should never have asked her that question like that in the first place. But let's get her answer.
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, Sheila Jackson Lee, she was an extraordinary leader who we just recently lost, and she was a friend and a real champion for so many issues. So I feel compelled to say that about her. On the issue of what we need to do going forward, look, first of all, we just need to speak truth about history in spite of the fact that some people are trying to erase history and try and teach our children otherwise. We need to speak.
Let me pause it real quick. Let me get to the super chat because that's a really good one. Mongol Maze sends a $10 super chat. I appreciate that. And says, if he was a good journalist, he should have brought up Gavin Newsom shutting down the reparations bill and the Black Caucus. He should have, which is why, and that's a really good point that you make. And thank you for that. He should have brought that up to at the very least, get her stance on them shutting down the reparations bill. So you can have a yes or no. And this is why the whole study stuff goes nowhere. Because they never wanted to go anywhere. Even when they have all of the votes, all of the seats, the super majority, they'll shut it down. Why would you shut it down? The governor is a Democrat. The Congress, they're all the caucus is all Democrat. You have majority. There's no reason it shouldn't have passed, and they let it die. So if they were smart, they would have asked her to give her stance on that. But they're giving her these alley-oop questions so that way they can say, hold on, we did ask about reparations. Now we did. You can't say we didn't. We did ask about reparations, and they're giving her an out.
Truth about the generational impact of our history in terms of the generational impact of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on. These are facts that have had impact. And we need to speak truth about it. And we need to speak truth about it in a way that is about deriving solutions. And frankly, I think that we, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can do right now is, for example, what I'm talking about in terms of building an...
No. We just saw in California how studying it does not help. We just literally saw that, because you guys took years to study it. You took years hearing people out. Then when it came to making the bills, then when it came to signing the bills, y'all didn't want to do that. Y'all did not want to do that. We need to talk about this and this and this and this. And we need to really speak truth to those things. So when we speak truth to those things, what we really need to do is study it. No. So I support no. Because if you really did, even if you really did, let's be honest and say, I really do support studying it. Even if you really did support studying it, why would you if you really do, why would you not use your executive power as the president? Because you want to be the president. Why would you not use your executive power to sign for the study of it? If you feel like it needs to be studied, why would you pass it off to Congress so Congress can fumble the ball, which you know that they will? That's why you sent it to them. You know that Congress is going to throw this behind them. I'm going to give this to Congress. Congress is going to ball it up, and Congress is going to say, hey, there's nothing we can do with it. That's why you would do it. So if you really did support studying it, you wouldn't even give it. You would say, hey, I'm so strict on this. I want to handle this myself. I'm going to sign that off. I'm going to sign off an executive order for us to study it. At the very least, that's the very least you can do. And she's not doing that. She gets into this weird thing where she has to give this backstory every single time she's asked a direct question. Every time it's okay. Well, let me give you this, my life story. Let me give you a part of my life story real quick. Every time.
Opportunity economy, which is addressing explicitly the obstacles that historically and currently exist and dealing with them. Student loan debt, medical debt, bias in home appraisals. What we need to do in terms of dealing with an issue that I have championed for years, Black maternal mortality, which is the fact that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in connection with childbirth than other women. And we know that the reasons for that include disparities that pre-exist her pregnancy, including disparities that exist in the system during her pregnancy. So all of those things must be addressed.
Do you have a position on whether
What
that
does
should
that
happen,
mean?
this commission should happen
And
through
then she
executive?
uses the word, she brings up a lot of true things. I'm doing this because she's going to keep doing this. She brings up a lot of true things. The Black mortality rate, home ownership discrimination, all of these things, when it just discrimination as far as capital. And then she says, and all of these things need to be addressed. What does it being addressed mean? What does that mean to say, well, all of these are all real problems and they all need to be addressed? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Order or via Congress?
I think Congress ultimately...
So I will give them this. At the very, very least, I'll give them this. One of the journalists asked the question again, like, okay, whatever, but would you sign it or would you give it to Congress? Which, like I said, was a bad question in the first place. Don't give her the option to give it to Congress, because they always are going to say, we got to give it to Congress so Congress can fail, because they know the same way the Black Caucus in California knows. Let's break this. I got to really connect with y'all with this. They know the same way that the Black Caucus in California knew that the executive branch, whether that at the time Gavin Newsom is the governor or the executive branch with the federal government, which would be the president. They know that the executive branch doesn't want to sign it. So they know it's a, I'm giving this to you, wink, wink. Don't let this reach my table. Don't let this reach my table. They know that all of the Black Caucus members in the Congress understand the assignment to not allow reparations to reach the table of the executive branch. They all understand that. That's very clear because it was very clear what they did in California. They all understand that. So they will push everything off to the final hour and then be all like, oh, it's just so much stuff and we got to redo the bill. We got to start all the way over again, even though we've been working on it for years. We got to start all the way over again. It was just not that good. So it's really nobody's fault. They know that because they know the assignment as the legislative branch is to not allow the bill to reach the executive branch. They know it's not. They know. So their thing is to be the black sacrifice, the black people to fumble the bag. It's them. They're deliberately there to to be black faces to fumble the bag. So you give it to the black people. So when they fumble the bag, you can't say, oh, well, that's a racial thing. Why did you mess up reparations? Hold on. I'm black just like you, man. I'm so black, dude. I'm black. I'm blackity black. And I didn't mess up. I want reparations for our people too. My people was enslaved too. It was just, see, the way the government worked is, the way it worked is the fact that everybody got to agree, and everybody didn't agree because we was in the back room and there was a lot of disagreement and stuff. So now don't worry about it. What we're going to do is, see, we got another time next year. So next year we're going to write it all over again. And then we're going to, do that, the conversation thing again. But this time it just is, so I wanted to sign. I did. I wanted to sign it. I wanted to sign it. Really, I really did. But they didn't want to do it. And I got to compromise, So don't worry about it next year. That's their job. That's why the executive branch, every single time it goes to reparations, they don't want to give a yes or no on it. They want to be all like, well, I'm not going to say anything. I want to just give it to Congress and let Congress take over. Wink, wink. And Congress is going to do what they have to do. That's why Gavin Newsom was sitting there blowing their phones up like, you better not, if you care about your life, you better not let that reparations bill get to my desk, because he knows he would veto it and he doesn't want to have to veto it. Kamala would veto it, but she doesn't want to have to veto it. That's why she gives it to the legislative branch, which would be Congress. This is why I'm not even on this panel. This is why, as a journalist, you should have never given her the option to pass it off to the Congress. You should have never given her that option. That's why Biden has been able to break all his promises, because he said he was going to do things that when he got in office, he said, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let Congress do it. And Congress conveniently fumbled the bag on everything for us, but nothing for no one else. This is why you have to understand civics and say, no, you said you were going to do this, so you need to make sure it happens. If you can't put it off on Congress, because this is your promise for the people to vote for you. It's not Congress's promise, it's yours, so you need to sign the executive order for it. That's what they should have said. All this, man, trying to give her an out. You're trying to give her a back door so she can back out the question. No. Our good sister Stephanie, the birthday girl, says sends a $20 super chat. I was about to say sticker. Thank you for the early birthday wishes. I appreciate you, Afro, and everyone in the chat room. And don't forget, family, that we send it on Lineage Business. We are going to get reparations, and that's a fact. Absolutely, that's a fact. That's absolutely a fact. We're doing more to push legislation and push reparations than the Black Caucus is in California. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? They're congressmen members who are doing less work to push reparations than we are here. So we're going to get it. because we got real people now really pushing for it. We don't have high black faces in high places saying that they want to do it. We got real black people actually making it happen. So we're going to get it. We're going to get it. And shout out to you again and happy birthday. But let's continue with her answer.
Executive order or via Congress?
I think Congress ultimately will have the ability to do this work.
See?
I'm not discounting the importance of any executive action, but ultimately Congress. Because if you're going to talk about it in any substantial way, there will be hearings, there will be a level of public education and dialogue that, and I think that was part of the spirit behind the congressional action thus far, to ensure that everyone can participate in this conversation in a way that elevates knowledge about history and the reference points that that are the impetus of this conversation. Especially, again, when people are trying to deny history, when people are, so-called leaders are saying that enslaved people benefited from slavery. I mean, let's talk about the delta here in terms of the work that needs to be done. It's profound.
Man, no. And this is the purpose of what they're trying to do is they're trying to create this treadmill to nowhere. It's a hamster wheel to absolutely nowhere, where you're going to go running in this circle again, and you're running around in circles, not going anywhere. You're running, you're getting tired, but you're not going anywhere. Talking about what we need is public dialogue, and what we really need is we really need the public to get their information of history up. No, you do not. No, you didn't. When y'all gave the Japanese reparations, y'all didn't have no damn public dialogue and need everybody to understand the history of Japan. Y'all didn't need to do that. Y'all did not. When y'all gave Native Americans, the Mongoloid Native Americans reparations, y'all didn't have this big national public hearing to raise the education of the history of Native Americans to everybody and their mama. Y'all did not. America has given reparations to so many groups of people in the past. And there has never been a thing where we all got to sit together and we all have to discuss the long history of grievances that these people have faced in their history and their background and their culture. That has never happened before. This does not involve anybody else between the people that has been harmed, the people who are owed reparations, and the people who owe reparations. Those are the only two parties that need to be in this conversation. The rest of the public does not need to be in the conversation. It has never been that way before. Y'all have literally given reparations out to many people. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to slavery, it's this thing of the secret is don't ever stop talking about it. We got to talk about it and study it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. No, there's already studies done. How many more studies do you need? There's already, what more is necessary? And then you want to, we're going to need a public dialogue. Ma'am, you understand that you can sign off on that with your executive power. You can just write an executive order and sign off on that. You don't need Congress to do that. It, first off, doesn't need to be done at all. It doesn't need to be done the same way it didn't need to be done with the Japanese Americans. So it doesn't need to be done. And if it did need to be done, you can sign off on it with your executive power. You don't need Congress to sign off on that. And this is the National Association of Black Journalists, quote unquote. This is them. Mind you, they're allowing millions with millions of illegal immigrants to come over here. No type of background, no studying at all. Now, when it comes to us, we get this eternal thing of we need to study it, which essentially means talk about it. Because what is there to discover that we don't know? Even if you want to say we want to figure out that don't take that long, really. It really don't. It don't take that long. It don't take that long to figure out who is owed, how much is owed. It don't take that's the only questions you really need to be asking. It doesn't take that long. So this whole thing of we need to study it forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. No, No, you don't, because you're not studying nothing else. All this talk, man. And then if you brought up a study with the journalists, if they were intelligent journalists, what they should have done was to say, well, actually, Madam VP, that's a very good point that you made, because the Black Caucus in California just did a whole 2-year study. The videos went viral. It was nationwide, a whole 2-year study studying reparations. And then Gavin Newsom, under the threat of veto, had the caucus kill the bill. So what is your stance? That would have been, if she said that, I would have gave them points for following up with that point. With, okay, well, actually, since you brought up the fact that a study is necessary, a lot of people are very weary of any type of studies, because they saw, the whole nation saw what happened in California and saw how a study doesn't always equal to any type of bill or legislation being passed. So what is your opinion on that? If they were smart, and if they were real journalists, I'm not even going to say smart, I'm going to say real authentic journalists, they would have asked that question. They didn't ask that question because her back would be against the door and she couldn't back out of it. That's why they didn't answer that. All this damn word salad. Moving on to the next thing. Now, we discussed this yesterday about the whole situation in Ohio.
Ohio and what's happening there. We've seen school closures, parents worried about their kids leaving the home because of racist conspiracy theories that I won't repeat here, but they have been repeated by leaders on the Republican side, President Trump, former President Trump, and Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance. From your perspective, is this just a case of irredeemable racism that can't be mitigated by any rational action, or is this a situation in which a federal response could help this community heal?
Man, here's the thing. As far as bomb threats and stuff like that being made, that's terrible. I don't condone that. I don't condone anybody, any ethnicity being singled out and targeted. I don't condone that. What they should have done, and this is how you know all of this is controlled opposition. These are not journalists, not really. This is controlled opposition. This is what that is, controlled opposition. Because what they should have asked is, well, there was a lot of fiasco around the situation in Ohio, but that brings us to the bigger point, which is what I was talking about in my live stream yesterday. That brings us to the larger point about a lot of people feeling endangered and worried about illegal immigration. A lot of people feel that illegal immigration is very dangerous. What do you have to say about that? That's the way. If you want to bring up Ohio, you should have brought up Ohio and brought up the bigger point about it being dangerous. Not, oh, there's a lot of conspiracy theories, and what do you think about the conspiracy theories? No, they didn't ask anything that would make her look bad, so that's why they didn't say anything about immigration. And like I said yesterday, all of the things that they talk about as far as immigration, it all goes back to Ohio and the cats eating dogs and all that, the people eating dogs, cats and all that. That's what it goes into. But they deliberately, this is why it's controlled opposition, they deliberately skipped over the overall message and the overall bigger point that immigration, illegal immigration, is dangerous. But they call themselves journalists.
There's a question of resources and...
Well, no, I'll let you finish and then I'll speak.
No, please.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community. You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day. You remember what that's like? Going to school on picture day? Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children. A whole community put in fear. And I'll say a couple things about it. One, you know, I learned
that point didn't land. That point didn't land. Talking about it was school picture day. And you know how excited you get when you wear your nicest outfit for school picture day? And they had to be evacuated. Okay. What? What? You're trying to like play on people's sympathy. What is that? No, so nobody was harmed? Oh Lord, come on now.
A long time ago in my career, having a background as a prosecutor, when you have these positions, when you have that kind of microphone in front of you, you really ought to understand at a very deep level how much your words have meaning. I learned at a very young stage in my career that the meaning of my words could impact whether somebody was free or in prison. As Attorney General, I was of California, fifth largest economy in the world. I was acutely aware that my words could move markets. When you are bestowed with a microphone that is that big, there is a profound responsibility that comes with that. That is an extension of what should not be lost in this moment, this concept of the public trust. To then understand what the public trust means. It means that you have been invested with trust to be responsible in the way you use your words, much less how you conduct yourself. And especially when you have been and then seek to be again President of the United States of America. And so I go back to, it's a crying shame, literally. What's happening to those families, those children in that community, not to mention what is happening in terms of, look, you say you care about law enforcement resources being put into this because of these serious threats that are being issued against a community that is living a productive, good life before this happened.
Oh Lord. This is why I cannot stand this question that they asked her. First off, what does this have to do with her campaign? Let me tell you something. Let's take a break from that. Let's take a break from that. What does that have to do with her campaign? That has nothing to do with her campaign, with her beliefs, with her legislation, or with her background. She's talking about and picture day, and you know how excited you are for picture day, and the power of the microphone, and with great power comes great. My uncle told me, with great power comes great responsibility. And that has always resonated with me. And why would you ask her that question? Why? If I had the opportunity to talk to a politician, a running candidate, especially somebody who's trying to become the president of the United States, I wouldn't be sitting up there asking them about some rumor or something like that, that if they say it is debunked already, then move on. If they're saying it's debunked already, get her on the current present day issues. Get her on current present day issues. Look how long, and I want you guys to understand, these clips are actually sped up. These are sped up, not that much, but they're sped up. These are sped up versions of this. Look how long she's taking to answer this question. Why would you even, they're asking so many pathetic questions, it doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna be honest. The state of mainstream, I'm not gonna say all, but the state of mainstream Black journalists is very pathetic. It is very pathetic. Even if they're young, I'm young too, I would have did a way better job. I would have did a much better job than what they're doing now. They did a horrific job. Let's let her finish her word salad. The state of Black journalism is sad today. The way they did the thing with Donald Trump, the way they're doing the thing with Harris, it's sad. Black journalism, mainstream Black journalism is sad. It's sad. It is.
And spewing lies that are grounded in tropes that are age old. And look, I said it not very far from here the other day at the debate. This is not new. This is not new in terms of these tropes. This is not new in terms of where it's coming from. And, you know, whether it is refusing to rent to Black families, whether it is taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against 5 innocent Black and Latino.
Yeah, okay. Well, you also, if you want to put that, and you should put that in its context, refusing to rent to Black families, also put in the context that Biden was against school busing. Biden was against Black children going to being on the same bus of white children going to school. He was against school integration. He was against that. So let's put all of that into context.
Teenagers, the Central Park Five, calling for their execution. Whether it is referring to the first Black president of the United States with a lie, birther lies. And look, the American people deserve, and I do believe, want better than this. I do believe that. I know, the vast majority of us as Americans know we have so much more in common than what separates us.
Yeah, our dislike for you. The thing that the vast majority of Americans all have in common is the dislike for you. That's one thing. I can agree on that point right there. Then we're going to get to this other thing. And I find that very interesting because they allowed her again to dodge the question. The topic of
reproductive access, something that you have worked in leading on both for the administration, Democrats, and now the top of the ticket. You said that as president, you would want to codify Roe. If it came to your desk, you would sign a bill that did that. Roe protected access until fetal viability, which it also says is, quote, at about 7 months, but it may occur earlier, even at 24 weeks. So do you similarly support also codifying Roe's restrictions, which allowed states to ban abortion in the 3rd trimester of pregnancy unless necessary to save the mother's life?
We need to put the protections of Roe v. Wade back into law. And when that bill gets passed by Congress, I will.
Now, the question, just to repeat, the question was asking, do you have any type of restrictions at all? Now, in a previous broadcast, we've already discussed that there are certain states that say there are absolutely no restrictions whatsoever, none whatsoever, even up until the 9th month, and even in some cases after birth, even if the baby is born alive, because Tim Walz doesn't like that. Even if the baby is born alive, just kind of like leave the baby on the table and the baby won't be alive in a couple days. So, just leave the baby there. Just kind of, we don't got to do nothing, but if we just leave the baby on this table, then eventually we'll come back and the baby won't be alive. That's what we'll do. So, which is what Tim Walz approves of. And we've already shown that. So they're asking her, do you have any sort of restrictions at all? And then watch her dodge the question once again.
Proudly sign it into law. Understand what is happening in our country. Over 20 states have passed what I call Trump abortion bans because I understand how we got here. The former president handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. They did as he intended, and in state after state, laws have been passed criminalizing healthcare providers. I don't know if anyone here has heard most recently the stories out of Georgia. Tragic story about a young woman who died because it appears the people who should have given her healthcare were afraid they'd be criminalized after the Dobbs decision came down. Laws that make no exception even for rape or incest, which means that you're telling a survivor of a crime of a violation to their body that they have no right to make a decision about what happens to their body next, which is immoral. An approach that doesn't take into account that most people, I think, agree you don't have to abandon your faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will talk with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government or Donald Trump telling her what to do about her own body and her life. So that's where I stand. We need to put back in place the protection of Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in.
Now, and those restrictions, because she's talking about Roe v. Wade, she's not talking about any restrictions. So this is when the journalist is like, damn, okay, and the restrictions, because that was the question. And then look at her answer.
Roe v. Wade and put that into law.
And those restrictions that are also in.
We need to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade and
just skip the question again.
Let an individual, in consultation with her doctor, make the decision based on what she can determine, because she's smart enough to know what's in her best interest instead of having her government tell her what to do, especially a bunch of people in these state capitals who think they're in a better position to tell her what to do than she is to know what's in her best interest.
Lord, this was, come on now. this was a horrific debate. Didn't move the needle. It didn't help her. None of this was no black person who was on the fence, because what they need to do is they need to get the moderate vote. They need to get people who are not really sure. They're not against her, but they're not really for her. But they're kind of on the fence about her not voting or voting for Trump or even third party. She needs to win them over. That's who wins the elections. All right, because the base is already going to back her regardless, but she needs to get people who are not on the base. So this is not moving the needle. None of this stuff was all like, wow, I really liked her answer on that question. She dodged every single, and they gave her easy question. I could see, and this is the thing that's getting me. I can honestly see if they gave her some of the most heavy hitting, hard questions, or if they gave her super loaded questions, double questions, and asking multiple questions, that I could see if they was out there like the way they did Trump. I could see if they was out here doing her like that. I could see that. But they gave her some of the easiest questions. Every single question they gave her had an out to it. Every single question they gave her, they damn near gave her the question and then gave her the answer that they were looking for with that question. All of that, and she still dodged and still scapegoated and still deflected all the time. She has not moved the needle at all. None of the points that she's made really had anybody who was kind of on the fence being all like, well, you know what, I wasn't really sure about her, but now after seeing that's what I'm talking about. That's why the mainstream media really isn't bringing this up. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind, when Trump did his thing with the black journalist, everybody was talking about that. Everybody was bringing that up. Now, Kamala did that thing with the black journalist. Nobody's talking about that. Not really. You don't see a whole bunch of people talking about, oh my God, she did such a great job. Oh my God, she answered that question with such research and articulation, and nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying that. So everybody gets the picture. Everybody's like, let's just move on to the next page. Everybody's on that because everybody knows how bad that is. Everybody knows how phony she is. There are some people who are reacting to it after the case is brought up, and I want to show you. I want to show you some of the reactions that they get afterwards. Hold on. You ain't got to do this every time now. Come on. So this is one of the videos of the people who are making reactions to it. Come on now. Well, as that is working, as we are working on that, we can get to another clip. Now, every time I try to do this, then y'all know they messing with me. Y'all know they doing that, but it's okay because I'm just gonna refresh the page. This is why I always download stuff. As you guys are here, actually, since we got a whole bunch of people in here, as you guys are here, please make sure y'all hit that thumbs up. Please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Make sure that you do all of that stuff. Okay. So we're back.
So did anybody else see how Kamala walked out of the NABJ interview? Check it out. Look at dude. Listen, real recognize real. First of all, if that wasn't the most disingenuous goodbye, like you would never expect somebody who's running for president to like leave like she just left. Second of all, notice how the dude who looked like Jordan Peele was looking. That was like the way she walked out. It was like, see you, bye. That was probably the first time that I thought that she was actually black, the way that she walked up out of there. Let me tell you something. You can only fool Black America for so long before we realize that she is not for us, okay? She does not represent us. She does not come off as real. And I'm telling you, We got a couple of more weeks left, baby. It's only for so long for y'all realize that she is not authentic, that she's a chameleon. They call her Chameleon Scamula, Chameleon Kamala for a reason. She's a chameleon. And I believe that those faces that y'all see up on that screen right there, you could tell that they see that she is not meant for this job. Okay? In fact, the way that she walked up out of that interview is the way she needs to just walk away from this race because it's over with. Hang it up. Flat screen.
Oh, yeah, it's done. It's done. And the journal, if you see the facial expression that the journalists made, they kind of look weird. Essentially, they were told, okay, this is going to be y'all big thing with the president. This is going to be y'all thing. So ask these questions in specific. Don't give her any trick questions. Don't say anything that's going to make her look bad or going to put her back against the wall. Ask her questions. So they were all coached because they're controlled opposition. But even still, they was kind of looking like, damn. I mean, she ran out of there. She ain't taking no pictures with nobody. You know how politicians, when they're leaving the stage, and this is something politicians always do, they're always waving to the crowd or waving to the camera. Bye, guys. Bye, guys. See you guys later. Thank you so much. Bye, bye, bye. She ran out of. She left. She left like somebody pulled the fire alarm. That's how quick she got out of there. She did not want to be there. But she's not the only person who saw past that. She's not the only person who saw past that. And these are black women who are really calling this stuff out, because what she's tried to do, and I said this before, is the mainstream media is trying to make her seem like she's the face of black womanhood, and she speaks for black women because she is a black woman, quote unquote. She's a black woman, even though she's not, but she is a black woman. Okay, even though this is how she was raised, when you want to talk about black womanhood, this is how she was raised. And we're not going to deny that. All the way up until her adulthood, this is how she was raised. She was raised like this, with her Indian family, her Indian mother, her Indian uncle, and all of this stuff. And then her mulatto father, who she wasn't really raised by and doesn't have a good relationship with at this moment, to keep that in mind. This is how she was raised. But let the mainstream media try to tell you she's the black woman, fully black, and she represents all black women. Let them tell you that. So that's having a pushback, and it's having the reverse effect, because now you're seeing a lot of black women who used to be on the Democrat. You used to see a whole bunch of black women be all like, black women representation. But now for every one black woman who's like, yeah, Kamala, sister girl, aka Ski Yee, you're seeing or Ski Wee, whatever they say. Now you're seeing 5. For every one that's for her, 5 is against her. So it's having the reverse effect. So this is why when they're saying, well, what is your thing to do with black men? I'm saying now black men are the ones leading the charge, because we've actually been doing this since Obama. If you notice based off of the statistics of the black vote, when Obama ran the first time, almost 100%. The second time, the black vote actually lowered for Obama. And for his first time in 2008, that was the beginning of the end of the black people for the Democrats. That was the beginning of the end of the vote blue no matter who. That was the beginning of the end of that. All right. I want you guys to remember, I'm saying that was the beginning of the end of that. And there was a lot of black men being all like, man, I don't really know. But the thing is that because they saw it, they decided to use this gender pandering thing, where if we pander to the women and we get them all emotional about us, so they're not thinking logically, because the men are going to think logically about their vote and their decision for the most part. But if we get the women's emotions involved in this, then we can kind of separate them off, so we can still have a little bit of that black support that we need. And then we'll have the women get on the men's case about not supporting us. So it'll seem like the men are against the women. So that's what we'll do. And they've been able to get that done for a little bit. Here and there, they have some victories here and there. But as you can see, for the most part, that's not working anymore. There's not this huge, big gender gap that they need that don't exist anymore. They needed it to, but it does not exist anymore. So the whole, it's a lot of black men who are talking about voting for Trump. No, The black community. This is why I'm showing you the clips mainly of black women, to show you it's not just the black men who are saying, we're not sure about you. It's the entire black community moving in unison, saying we're going to be logical with our vote this election. It's not, oh, black women are on this page and black men are on this page. No, the black community is all on this page for the very most part, except a few people who are just going to be stuck and die on a Democratic plantation, or some people who are getting paid, influencers and people who are getting paid. That's it. It's literally those two. It's literally people who will just die on the plantation. They won't leave no matter what. They won't leave. Or people who are getting paid or have some type of deal or want some type of job, and it's something personally in it for them. So that's why. Those are literally, I'm telling you, those are literally the only two people who are backing her. Only two. Okay? All of the logical, independent thinkers, they're not backing her. They're not. They see right through her. I'm going to show you some more clips. Look at this.
Kamala Harris, you are as fake press on nails, and I can see right through you. Let me help you out with something, because maybe somebody must not have.
Huh. Can y'all hear? Hold on.
Kamala Harris, you.
What's going on with the sound? Okay, hold on.
Better off.
It's always something. It's always something. Now the sound is off. What's going on with the sound? Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. What is going on with the sound? Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Because we might have to just skip past that. Okay. Well, okay. We'll just skip past that. I want to show you something else, actually. We'll get to that in a second. Let me just refresh that. But I want to get to this. This is Kamala trying to tell a joke. This is how corny and unlikable she is. Let me get to this for a second while I get the other thing up and ready.
You know, I was the first person to be a woman Attorney General of California. I was the first woman to be elected District Attorney of San Francisco. I was the first person of color to be elected Attorney General of California. Whatever. First. Welcome to the Role Model Club. It's tough. Being a part of the Role Model Club means being in a room where sometimes you may be the only person who has had the experiences you've had. You know, I was the first person to be a woman Attorney General of California. I was the first woman to be elected District Attorney of San Francisco. I was the first person of color to be elected Attorney General of California. Whatever. First. Welcome to the Role Model Club. It's tough. Being a part.
She thought that was hilarious. You saw, I want you to see her facial expression. This is how awkward and unlikable she is. That didn't, welcome to the Role Model Club, first of all. And then second of all, it's first. It's tough. You can literally tell she's trying not to crack up. Ain't nobody laugh or make a peep at all. You could hear a pin drop on the floor from several feet away. Oh, come on. Do this all the time. Okay, well, I guess that's not going to play no more. Regardless of that, we're going to move on to the actual video I've been trying to show y'all for the longest time.
Kamala Harris, you are as fake as press. On nails, and I can see right through you. Let me help you out with something, because maybe somebody must not have told you. On TV and on every interview, giving the same tired answer. So let me just help you out. When you are asked a question, why don't you try answering the question? People are not stupid. We can tell when you're dancing around the issue instead of answering the question. When you're asked, are people better off now or during Donald Trump's presidency? When you're asked about the border or your policies on immigration, answer the question. We don't care about your middle class upbringing. We don't care that your mama had to save up to buy a house. We don't care about your summer job at McDonald's. We don't care about the lawns of the neighborhood that you lived in and how everybody took care of their lawn. That does not matter to me, and it doesn't matter to anybody else. I want you to answer the question, because if people, my mind is already made up too, Kamala, because I can see right through you and I know that you fake. But for somebody else whose mind is not made up, let me just help you out. Answer the question so that they can decide between you and your opponent. I don't know if you're just trying to paint him as the villain and try to skate by to be the, like you the hero or a nice person. We don't care about that, because being a hero and voting for the nice person is not what pays the bills. You understand what I'm saying? We can see through you. And now that fake black accent that you keep doing, girl, you need to stop, because you know good and well that you ain't got no black accent. You know good and well that you was born in from San Francisco and in Canada. Where you get that black accent from? Stop doing that, trying to be relatable. This does not make you relatable. It makes you look fake. And those of us like me, we can see through that. We can see through that. We can see through every interview that you do, that instead of answering the questions that are on the minds of the millions of American people who have the power to elect you to the highest office in the land, you're dancing around the issue. And you want to talk about how you was born a middle-class kid and how your mother had to save up to buy a house. I don't care, Kamala. So just to recap, stop dancing around the issue. Answer the question. If you're going to do an interview, answer a question that you are asked at the interview.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. See, like I'm saying, the whole community, the black community in and of itself, foundational black Americans are moving in sync, in unison. Okay. They want to talk about black men because black men were the first group of people, or the first noticeable group of people to leave the Democratic plantation. They've been pandering to black women, but you can only pander for a certain amount of time before that even gets old. So now that that's gotten old, black men and women are now off the Democratic plantation, and now are free thinkers, now are independent thinkers, and now don't care about party loyalty anymore, much less than actual policy, much less than actual legislation and the person's background and their agenda. We can tell she doesn't have any black agenda. She's given several opportunities to announce one. She doesn't have one. She doesn't. That's the truth. She does not have a black agenda. Okay, and all of this fake accent stuff, and I even said this because she keeps doing this fake accent stuff, like this, she's like winning people over with that. Let me show you this. I made this post earlier today. Here it is. This is Harris. She has, now we all have seen on several different occasions her black accent. And watch people defend this. Y'all gonna be surprised when y'all hear people defend this.
Brothers and sisters, and my soror, and to all my HBCU brothers and sisters. Hello to all my Divine Nine brothers and sisters, and my soror. And to all my HBCU brothers and sisters.
First off, somebody in the chat room says, what is she wearing? She looks like a villain in a Disney movie. Not gonna lie to you. That dress make her look like a villain in a Disney movie. Okay? That's what it looks like. She looks like not even a Marvel villain. She looks like a Disney villain. That's what she looks like. She looks like a villain who was always jealous of the princess. That's what she looked like. Come on now. We know that's what she looked like. And all my Divine Nine brothers and sisters, my soror, she does not talk like that. Listen, people have accents based off of where they're from. When you reach a certain age, you will always have an accent because that's the way you learn to speak. You will always have an accent. That's why somebody can have an accent. They can move to a completely different part of the world and they will still always have that accent because your brain has permanently implanted, this is how you speak, this is how you pronounce words. Now you can train yourself out of it, but naturally you're going to have this accent. Is going to be in your brain. Even if you consciously speak without an accent, it's still permanently implanted in your brain. People, us as foundational Black Americans, a lot of us have little bits and pieces of Southern accents for the folks who are not in the South, because our family is maybe a few generations from the South, and we still have family in the South, and we still sometimes go back to visit in the South. We go back to Mississippi, Louisiana, we go to Texas, and we go to people who we know in the South. So we have almost like a variation of their Southern accent. Like, for instance, you have folks who are like in the Chicago, Detroit area who have, because of the Great Migration, a slight variation of a Southern accent where you can tell, okay, well, you don't really sound like you're from Arkansas with your accent, but there's some words that y'all pronounce similar. That's because it's more of a Northern variation of that. All right. The thing is that the base of that is because a lot of our family is from the South. Harris doesn't have any family in the South at all, nor was she raised in the South, nor did she go to school in the South. She has absolutely no connection whatsoever to the South. Let me show you this. She spent her adult life as this. This is what she spent her adult life as. So when you and we ain't ever heard, and I said this too, we've never heard you speaking no Indian accent. If I'm wrong, can somebody pull up a clip of Kamala Harris speaking in an Indian accent? We've never heard her speak in an Indian accent. We've never heard her do that. But you conveniently and occasionally have a Southern accent, is what you're telling me. Conveniently and occasionally have a Southern accent is what you're telling me. Even though you don't have no family from the South whatsoever, but you have a Southern accent occasionally when you're around Black people, which is odd because you're a 60-year-old woman. So it's not like you're not young or around new people and you can pick up on you're 60 years, you're a 60-year-old woman who's not in the South, never lived in the South, no family from the South, nothing to do with the South. No foundational Black Americans in your family at all. You didn't get it from a cousin or any auntie or none. No foundational Black Americans in your family at all. Now, I want you guys to keep this in mind, because what they're going to do is they're going to call this code switching. That's what the media is going to do. They're going to call it code switching. They're going to say, oh, no, see, Black people, what we do all the time is we talk one way when we in front of corporate, and then when we talk at our job, we talk one way, and then when we at home, we kind of relax a little bit, and then we can kind of let ourselves breathe, and we talk a different. No. Your accent don't switch. Not like that, and no. And here's the thing. If that's the case, let them have it. Say this. Respond with this. If that is the case, ask this very important question. When she was running to become the president in 2020, when she didn't have the ticket, didn't win, you never heard any Black accent, never heard any Southern accent, not one time. Throughout the last 3+ years of her being the vice president, she hosted some type of 50th anniversary hip hop party. She did all of this stuff, the Juneteenth stuff. Never in the whole 3+ years of her being the VP have we ever heard a Black accent. The second she's at the top of the ticket, now she has this Black accent that she's using when she's around Black people at rallies, that she's using when she's around her Divine Nine. Now, the 60-year-old woman, no foundational Black American family, has a Black accent now. We've never, I could almost understand if we've always seen this of her. I could almost understand if we've always seen this of her, but we've never ever seen this of her. We've never seen this. She's never had no Southern accent, no Southern twang to it. She's never had that before. And now you're coming out with this very forced accent that people are not buying. Now, a lot of people are looking at this and they're saying that now it's looking like she got some type of Hispanic accent when she's around the Hispanic community.
I love you back. I love you back. I love you back.
Yeah, and folks gonna tell you that's code switching too. So let me get this straight. I want you guys to visualize this. Let's visualize this. She is a Hindu Indian. She is a Hindu Indian woman. That's what people are like, no, she black. No, she black. She black. Her daddy black. No. Her dad's not even a full Jamaican. The dude is a mulatto Jamaican. That's number one. Number two, majority of her family is Hindu Indian. You cannot refute that. She was raised around her mother primarily. She said so herself in her own book that she wrote. You cannot refute that. She's a Hindu Indian. She said it herself several times. We're not going to erase history. She was talking about you can't erase history, so we're not going to erase history. So this Hindu Indian woman, who never has an Indian accent, conveniently has a Southern accent when she's around black people, and now she conveniently has a Hispanic accent too. Is what you're trying to tell me? So, what accent is left? She gonna have an English accent next? What accent is left now? Next, you'll know she gonna have a Chinese accent. What the hell? And this is why people call her Kamala the Chameleon. This is why people call her that. Okay, because people see all that stuff is disingenuous. All that stuff is phony. All this stuff about you cooking greens in the bathtub and you all that's phony. People are not buying that. People are not buying all this stuff right here. I just thought about it. I'm pulling it up for you guys right here. Hold on. Look at this. All this stuff right here. People are not buying
So
it.
I know how to make a mean pot of greens. In fact, people used to ask me to make greens for them for Christmas. One year, I had so many that I had to wash that we ended up washing them in the bathtub. So I am not playing around. So what you got?
She is not playing around. She had so many greens one year, she had to wash them in the bathtub, and then she doubled down on it.
I have a friend who had a Christmas party, Christmas Eve every year, and she asked me to make the greens for her party every year. And I am not lying to you that I would make so many greens that I'd need to wash them in the bathtub. I'm telling you the truth.
So how do you make your greens? Do you put turkey in them? Do you
Bacon.
Nice. My grandma
I do
used to
bacon.
Put bacon. She's put
Garlic.
vinegar.
I put white vinegar.
Yes.
I do. So I start.
Lord have mercy, man. This woman is sitting up there literally telling you she's cooking greens in her bathtub. I want you to have a visual of this and then listen to the audio. Have a visual and listen to the audio. Imagine you seeing this picture. And then,
So I know how to make a mean pot of greens. In fact, people used to ask me to make greens for them for Christmas. One year, I had so many that I had to wash that we ended up washing them in the bathtub. So I am not playing around. So what you got?
she is not playing around. She's making greens in the bathtub. Just
I have a friend who had a Christmas party, Christmas Eve every year, and she asked me to make the greens for her party every year. And I am not lying to you that I would make so many greens that I'd need to wash them in the bathtub. I'm telling you the truth.
So how do you make your greens? Do you put turkey in them? Do you
Bacon.
Put
I don't want to know what she put in them greens. If that's how she, man, listen. Man, I'll need you. Listen to me. It don't matter, man. I can't say it loud enough. If this is how she cleans her greens, in the bathtub. If this is how she cleans her, I don't want to know what she puts in them. I don't want to know what she put, because this is her version of getting the germs off the greens, to clean the greens. I don't know. I don't even want to know. Please, I'm putting my fingers in my ear. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You're ruining my appetite. I don't want to hear that. Okay. So this is all fake and phony and disingenuous, but you're going to have the mainstream media defend it anyway, irregardless of it. Look at what CNN had to say about her and her black accent.
Tonight's take comes to us from Elizabeth Spears from the New York Times, who writes this headline: "The real reason the Harris twang is driving Republicans crazy." Now, in this piece, she argues conservatives find her accent infuriating for one very specific reason: because they buy the negative stereotypes. They associate Southern accents with less educated, working class people who, if they're white, might be racist. And that's a demographic that conservatives cynically regard as their property, unquote. Now,
okay, first off, it's not Republicans. It's not Republicans, okay? It's just people who have common sense. It's not Republicans, no, all right? Just anybody who has any common sense can see that this is disingenuous. That you putting on these accents conveniently based off the crowd that you're at is disingenuous. And if anybody else besides her, if anybody else was doing it, people would call it out as being fake. It is not, oh, they're saying conservatives. No, the average person is seeing that this is fake. The only people who are trying to fake and save face for her are people who are trying to support and vote for her. The average person is looking like, yeah, that's fake as hell. So this is CNN trying to back her up. Oh, they're so triggered by her. No, everybody is, it's awkward. It's weird. Nobody's even mad about it. It's just awkward. It's just weird. And people looking at it like, why are you doing that? Why are you talking like that? That is that why you're doing the most, and it's off-putting to people. Nobody's sitting up there like, oh, a Southern accent. Oh, and they say, oh, well, the Southern accent, because they believe in stereotypes. Ma'am, how does she have, because you can't say that all black people have a Southern accent. You can't say that a Southern accent is inherent to anybody who is possibly black. You can't say that. You can't say that. She's not even FBA. You can't, and all FBA don't even have a Southern accent, to be very honest with you. Only people who are from the South specifically, and then people who are like recently removed, or their family they're closer to being connected to the South. And then all people in Chicago don't have that accent. Everybody in Louisiana, Texas, Tennessee, Atlanta, all of them, they don't have the same exact accent. So it's not intrinsic in everybody. And those are the people from these places. She's not from that place at all. She has absolutely no reason, no justifiable reason for her to have any Southern accent, which is why nobody's giving some rationale to it. Oh no, she has this accent because she used to spend time with her uncle and auntie, and they were in the South, and she would go to the South to visit them in the summertime. Can't say that because she has no FBA family. Can't say that. Not even FBA family. She has no family from the South at all. Her husband, Doug, he's not even from the South. He doesn't have a Southern accent. So you can't even say she got it from her husband. He doesn't even have a Southern accent. So where is she getting this accent from is what people are wondering, because we've never heard it. We've seen her around for years, never heard it. She gets to the top of the ticket and she has a Southern accent. And now if we say something about her Southern accent, we're triggered by her Southern accent. No, it's is really coming off as phony and disingenuous. And you all are lessening your credibility among the public by trying to back this. You do better being quiet about it, quite frankly. And she don't even have an Asian accent. That's the crazy part.
Republicans pounce each time she seems to change the way she talks based on her audience. Here she is talking about the same topic on the same day. But in the first clip, she's in Detroit. The second, Pittsburgh.
You may not be a union member. You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
Now, conservatives would look at this difference in her cadence, in her delivery, and they would point to what they think is evidence of Harris's lack of authenticity.
Because it is that's because that's where that is. That's because that is true. Now, if let's be honest, if Donald Trump was doing that, if Donald Trump went to a rally in Detroit, if he went to a rally in Georgia, and if Donald Trump was all like, you better thank a union member for sick time and paid leave, and you better thank a union member for all this stuff, everybody in their mama would be calling it out. There would be no he code switching or anything. Even if a black Republican was to do that, there would be no he code switching. The excuse is terrible. But you know who else tried to back this up? You got to know one of the number one capers for her, Roland No Neck Martin, had to say something about it. And this is fair use.
So let me know when y'all have it. So what happened was, she came out and the AKAs lost their mind. Ski wind, left and right, all across the room. All right. So she didn't want to just show some love to the AKAs. She then did the Divine Nine. And all the different Divine Nine members did they thing, the Deltas, and the Alphas, do the 06 and Omegas. They were chirping, barking, and the Kappas, I don't know what they were doing, whispering. I don't know what the hell they do. I don't know what the Owls and Sigmas do. So that's what happened. So let me know when y'all have it. Okay? So it was a funny moment because she was trying to be inclusive and was really laughing at what the AKs did. So this is the full content. Go ahead, please.
CBC. Can we please give it up for our President Joe Biden? Oh, it's good to be back. Please have a seat, everyone. Please have a seat. I have to say, it is so good to be back. And let me just say about Joe Biden,
What is so funny? I'm not a hater, but just her like literally falling to the floor. This is why people say she act drunk all the time. Cause what is she? Are you high? Are you drunk? What is so funny? And you look like a villain again. I just saw it again. You look like a villain again. I don't know who your stylist need to be fired or deported probably, but something needs to happen because your stylist hates you clearly. They working for Trump. They undercover. They a double agent getting you wearing this dress.
hello to all my Divine Nine brothers and sisters and my sorors. And to all my HBCU brothers and sisters. But let me just talk for a moment about Joe Biden. It has been the honor of my lifetime to serve as his vice president. And I'll tell you, I have...
All right, so all these silly ass white conservatives talking about, how she's changing accent. They did the same thing when she was talking to the UAW workers in Michigan. And these really are some stupid people, Mustafa. They clearly don't know black people. They don't even remotely understand black people.
Well, black people. Black people. Black people. Okay. All right. I want you to understand something. She's not the darkest person in this picture, and nobody in this picture is black, and she's not even the darkest person in the picture. To be very honest, she's not even like the second darkest person in the picture. They don't understand black people. I'm not sure Kamala or Camilla, whatever her name is. I don't think she knows anything about black people either. talking about some black people. Okay, let's continue.
The fact of the matter is, depending upon what we're talking about.
I'm sorry. You talking about you don't understand black people. You think this is understanding black people? I can't miss that opportunity to bring that up. You think this is understanding black people? You washing your greens in the bathtub, you telling stories about you have so many greens that you have to wash them in your bathtub. You think that black people can relate to that and understand that? But you're telling other people they don't understand black people. Okay, all right, sure.
How we're talking, it might be a different tone that we use, is what black people do. We don't talk the same in every single instance in terms of how we talk. They were mad at her because she wasn't fully enunciating and pronouncing words. I'm like, literally, these are about some of the dumbest ass people I've ever seen in my life.
It'd be really nice if they stayed out of black folks' business. Let black folks deal with black folks' business. You know,
there's a lot of black people calling. Y'all need to stay out of black folk business. Okay, what about the black people who's saying something about it?
You know, it's interesting.
And there you go.
Yeah, and I don't think they understand family either, because when you with family, you change lots of things, the way you talk and where your mannerisms is and how comfortable you are in that situation. And I think they're mad because she finds family in lots of places, whether it's with union workers or if it's in an HBCU or a number of different places that she goes, people gravitate to her because she brings forward hope. She brings forward a connection. And I think that they're jealous because they currently have a set of candidates that don't have that ability to connect with folks, to be able to meet folks where they are. So, you know, to make sure that your vernacular is not excluding, but including people. So, you know, they really should just stay out of our business because they've never done anything to help our communities, but yet they want to continue to critique our communities and the leaders in our community. So we can handle our own business. You know, why don't y'all take instead of trying to get rid of Black history classes and books that have information in it and videos, maybe y'all need to sit down, take some time and actually learn more about our culture and how we flow.
This ain't how we flow. This ain't got nothing to do. This comes from this culture. This is the culture that tells you it's okay to wash your greens in the bathtub. So you're talking about you need to learn about our culture. I think she needs to learn about our culture because we don't be cooking nothing or cleaning anything besides human bodies in the bathtub. We don't be cleaning greens or anything else in the bathtub. Okay, that is not how we don't do that. We don't clean anything that we eat in the bathtub at all. Talk about she don't understand our no, and she finds family everywhere. You find, even if you found family, let's say that for the sake of the argument, let's say you found family. Just because you found family and you connect with somebody does not mean that you pick up on their accents. Does not mean that. I can go to China and find great friends and family, quote unquote, in China. I'm not gonna have a Chinese accent. A genuine Chinese accent. I can speak in a Chinese accent, but I won't have one because that's not my accent. I'm not going to have that. If I go to Europe and I see a whole bunch of British people speaking in British accents, as a person who learns from American English and I have an American English accent because I'm in America, I'm an American, I'm not going to have a British accent. I'm not going to do that unless I can learn a British accent, but I won't just naturally have one just because you're quote unquote around family. That's not the way that works. You're mocking certain people. That's what you're doing.
See, I think right there, Randy Mustafa said it best. White conservatives, stay out of black folks' business.
Hard. Just completely stay out of it. There was a study that came out years ago that said the average white person, only 1 out of 4 white people have a black friend. 1 out of 4. So I don't know why in the heck they think that they could really have some commentary on our culture. And what they need to get is that we're intelligent folks. We do switch it up, and we switched it up. And, you know, we code switch for survival part of our lives because they are always trying to make us fit into how they think we should act. You know, there's was a line in The Color Purple that said, some folks don't like to see black people too proud or too free, is essentially what it said. And I think that that's what they can't stand is that Kamala Harris feels comfortable enough to be freely who she is, authentically who she is, which you cannot pigeonhole. She feels comfortable just being with her sorors and shouting out her HBCU folks and just being Black and talking the way we do, as Mustafa said, when we're with family. And they can't stand it because they have for years, for decades, for centuries, made us feel as if when we went out in places and we were around them, we had to act like them, talk like them, to be seen and respected. But now Kamala's saying, listen, I can be my full Howard University graduate self, my full AKA self, my full HBCU self, my full Indian self and Black self, and that is who I am. And that is what we do when we're with our people. So yeah, they definitely 100% need to get out of our business because they don't understand it.
God, give me strength. No. Just absolutely no. Everything you just said was completely wrong. This is not about her finally being herself. This is not about that at all. This is about her being a phony. This is what that is. This has nothing to do with code switching. Putting on fake accents is not code switching, because you would have to at least say where your accent is based off of. Because the code is the fact that you're actually going out to the public, and then in the public you have to speak in a more quote unquote proper way, or you have to enunciate your words in a more professional way. That's the actual switch of the code. And then when you're not in that setting anymore, you get to be yourself. You don't speak a certain way, and then when you're around Black people, speak a different way. That's not code switching. She doesn't have, that's not, first off, that's code switching actually in reverse, if we're going to be honest. And then number two, she's not from the South. She has no family from the South. She has really no friends or any type of connection to the South at all. She would have no Southern accent whatsoever. So for her to, and this is not just that one time, for her to constantly, when she's around Black people, she's never done this before, but now when she's around Black people, she conveniently has Southern accents here and there when she's trying to drive a point home. And we're get told, oh, well, she's really just being her authentic Black. No, she's not. No, she is not. Everything she just said was absolutely wrong.
And the thing is, I mean, the reality, first of all, Joe, I keep seeing a lot of people talk about she code switched. No, she didn't. She didn't code switch. It wasn't like, well, I'm going to talk this way for them. No, she was responding. It was humorous. And so I just think that part of this thing is, do you.
Now he admits she's not code switching, and it would be one thing if this was her first time doing that. If this was her very first time doing it, it would be one thing. She's done this on multiple occasions. You just brought up, which is why I played the clip before of her in Detroit. You better thank a union member for sick leave, and you better thank a union member, like she's a preacher at church or something. Praise the Lord. Thank God for another day. We wake up and see the sun and the clouds in the sky. Thank you, God. Thank you. That's how she sounds. And that's not how she talks. And we know that. This is not just one single time. This is over the course of really ever since she got to the top of the ticket, ever since she's around Black folk. That's how she sounds, or that's how she's trying to imitate that. She don't even accurately sound like that. She's trying to imitate that and mimic that. That's what she's trying to mimic.
That was a brother, Joe's name, Tom Wilkins.
And then he tells, oh, this ridiculous story. Listen to this.
Tom died last year. And I love Tom because Tom was about 6'5". Tom was dark skinned. Tom was always ashy. Like Tom was forever ashy. I always say, damn Tom, you gotta just keep a supply of lotion. So Tom didn't get, first of all, Tom's favorite fur was motherfucker. Him and his wife owned a computer company. He used to always wear his baseball cap, like sit on top of his head, like pointed up. And Tom didn't care. Okay, Tom would go to meetings, and Tom would be with white folk. He'd be with Black folk, and Tom was the same. Tom might drop a.
First off, I'm gonna say he could tell that story. This is coming off a little moist. I'm not gonna lie to you. He could have told that story about, yeah, I knew this one brother named Tom, and then went on with the story. He said Tom was tall and dark skinned, and I told him he always needs to keep some lotion. Roland, given your recent history, man, I don't know if that's how you want to start your story off. He was tall and dark skinned, and I got my lotion on him, so I would tell him he needs to lotion up. I don't know if you want to start because you literally could have just said, I knew a friend named Tom. You didn't have to say nothing. You didn't have to describe how he looked and everything. He was tall, and I don't really know if you want to start your story off that way, bro. And this is just my advice. I think that's the wrong way to start the story off. Okay, man, you're speaking like you're getting aroused or something. Oh, okay.
MF Tom didn't give a damn. In fact, Tom died. They buried him wearing his cap. Tom did not care. His whole deal was, I'm gonna do me. And then Michael Williams, good friend of Tom's, mine as well. And he would tell Tom, you gonna wear that hat? Tom was like, I don't give a damn what these white folks think. Tom was a millionaire, didn't care, served his country, the military, was like they all can go to hell. But I always loved it because he was hilarious, because Tom didn't give a damn. And so the thing is, they have no clue about black people. They have no understanding about black people. And all they do is whine and complain. And for a lot of these white folks, conservatives and liberals, they gotta understand, we not always giving a damn what they think, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at home, you let your hair down, right? You do the things that you want to do. You're comfortable, you're at ease, you're relaxed. Most of the time, those of us that have to make it in these, majority boxes, we have to speak a different social language. And frankly, that's what makes us marketable. That's what makes us valuable. They'd be okay with me or Kamala Harris or whoever else making those connections when it's making them money, when it's when it's working to their advantage, which it is so often.
First off, before we even get to this, Roland didn't make any sense with that story. Roland didn't make no sense with that story at all. Roland sounded like he was aroused and wanted to talk about his last crush or something like that. What was that story supposed to benefit? It seems so divorced from the actual subject. It didn't make any sense. It seemed like I'm sitting up there listening to this story and hoping that nothing pops up on his iPad like it did the last time. I'm praying to God. I'm all like, this story about Tom, I swear, I pray to God that nothing pops up on this man's laptop. And it just didn't. Why did you say that? Why did you say that? He's like, oh, yeah, some black people don't give a damn. Man, come on now.
They're okay with us code switching then. They're okay with us connecting with black folks the way, you do. Like, I'm reminded of the point in Do the Right Thing, when what's his name's like, yeah, you can go talk to brother, talk to him, They're okay when it makes money, when it puts money in their pocket, when it helps them build a bridge that they can't build themselves because it's a social language that they can't speak. But we have to be cross-trained. We got to know how to deal with all kinds of people. And that's the way it's been. And so how far we've come, and this is what they're mad at, right? This is how far we've come, that somebody on that stage can go there next to the president. Hey, thank you very much. Here I am running for president, and I'm shouting out my black sorority brothers and sisters, and I'm black too. They don't like that. That's what they don't like. They can make it like it's something else to the extent that they want to all day long, but at the end of the day, we're winning. And she reminds them of that. And so, do need to stay out of our business. We'll pick our own heroes. We'll talk to each other the way that we need to. We show up at work on time, work that benefits you too, by the way, so you don't have no complaints. We just gonna keep banging the way we do it. And if you don't like it, then maybe you can go elsewhere.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna show you that it's not really working. It's not working. That stuff's not working. It's not. I'm gonna show you a little bit of something else, and I might have to make a whole nother thing about this. But before we go, I want to show you that the folks that they got, the folks that are vote blue no matter who, because they like to show you all these statistics and, oh my God, she's so great. That's because the people who want to back her are going to say anything she says is great. They're going to make any excuse for her. They're going to say anything she says. Oh my gosh, she did such a great job at the debate. She did such a great job at this interview. She did such a great job at that interview. She did such a great job at this rally, at that rally. They're going to say anything she does is just absolutely fantastic, absolutely phenomenal. She can't miss. She just never misses. Younger folk ain't really buying that, to be very honest. Now, this comes, I'm going to show you a little bit of this. This comes from NBC News. It says, we're not going to go through the whole thing. We're going to kind of skip past because I just want to show you really the data of this. It says, Black swing state voters overwhelmingly back Harris, but key divides on age and gender, our poll shows. So it's not the entire Black community. Most of them are asking the older vote blue no matter who. They're just going to vote blue. They believe that our ancestors died for them to have the right to vote for a Democrat. So that's just what they're going to do. That's just what they're going to do. But I want you to look at the subtitle. It says, younger Black men are much more likely to support Donald Trump, though Kamala Harris is still won a strong majority of them. So it's really the Black men who are leading the get off the plantation charge and the the Democratic plantation movement. But just to show you some of the data. So what they'll do is they'll show you stuff like this. They'll take a screenshot of this and put this on Twitter. All right. And they'll say Black voters in battleground states support Harris over Trump. Okay, this is Harris at 82%, and then this is Trump, and then you have 6%, and this is undecided or another candidate, right? And these are for like people who are registered voters. But when you get down here and you see younger Black voters more likely to support Trump. Harris, even though still a majority, this is the Black voters under 50. You see a big difference between the under 50 and the 50 crowd. At the over 50 and up, it's almost 90%. Under 50, it's 75%. Okay? And 16%, it is not like 75%, and a lot of them are undivided. 75% and 16 of those percentage points are actually going to Trump. Okay? Now we're going to read this right here before we get into the next point. It says the age shift was especially pronounced among young or among Black men. Among those polled, men under 50 support Harris by 50 points, 72% to 21%, whereas advantage for Harris among men 50 and over is 78 points, 88% to 10. Among young women, the margin for Harris is 65 points, 87% to 13. But among older women, it's 84%, 89%, or 84 points, 89% to 16. So, and I'm showing you this to show you a lot of people are trying to create this gender divide, and I'm telling you that there is none. When you actually look at the real accurate data, you will see that there is none. The older Black men and Black women, majority of them are for her. The younger Black men and Black women you see are not for her. Now, when it comes to the men under, is pretty much the same. It says those men under 50. Look at this. I'm gonna highlight it. Under 50 support Harris by 50 points. Okay. And then so that's a 72 to 21. Okay, 50 points. And then it says among young women, which is pretty much women under 50, it's 65 points, which is 78 to 13. So really, the Black men and the Black women are all in the same boat. The young Black women are slightly like 15 points higher than the Black men are when it comes to Harris is concerned. But Black men and Black women are damn near at the same. Okay, and this is accurate data that came out earlier today. Now look at this. Under 50, as you can see, Men under 50. Look at this. So you can have a visual of this. Take a screenshot if you need to. Let me try to make it a slight tad. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a lot bigger. Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't mean to do all that now. Okay, come on now. I didn't mean to do all that. I want y'all to be able to. Okay, hold on. Why did it went pretty far? Wow, come on. Okay. Look at this. It says among young men, mostly for Trump, you can see black men under 50, it's about 72. Women under 50 is only about 78. So it's not like this big gender gap. As you can see, the older crowd, they're pretty much locked in. There's only 1 percentage point difference between black men and black women over 50, but black men and black women under 50 pretty much are on the same page. Now, most of the black women under 50, they're undecided, not really leaning to Trump necessarily, but you can see, and I'm trying to show you this to let you know that there is no gender gap this time around that they need, that they're going to rely on. That doesn't exist anymore. All this, well, the black man, now I don't know why the black man feels so left out. The black man feels so left out. No, it's not just the black man. The black community is left out, and black men are the main ones highlighting that the black community is being left out. We're not out here saying, what are you going to do for black men specifically? I need something specifically for black, not for the community, specifically for black men. I'm a black man. I need something specifically for black men only. That's not what we're saying. We're highlighting the community as together as a whole. We're the main ones highlighting the whole community. They're trying to make it seem like this is a black man issue versus a black woman issue when it's a black community issue. Now, just because black men are the main ones highlighting that does not make it a black male issue versus a black female issue. You understand? And black females are on the same page. You see it now. I'm showing you clip after clip after clip of black females reacting to her, being all like, I don't buy her. I'm not supporting her. I'm not going to vote for her. I'm not going to buy this plantation anymore. That's what they're telling you. So it's not no difference between how black men and black women are feeling. The community, the foundational black American community is all on one accord and is all feeling the same way. The only people who are telling you are, like I said, either going to just live and die on the plantation. That's just their fate, and that's what they want to do. They want to live and die. That's what they want to do. That's number one. And then number two is the people who are looking to get some type of payday. They're looking to get some type of payday. They're looking to get some type of job. They're looking to get some type of influence. They're either paid influencers. They're looking to get some type of special interview to reboost their career, like Luther Campbell or Plies, or they're looking to get a job like Roland No Neck Martin. It's either one of them. Those are the only two, literally the only two. Everybody else is like, hey, the economy is bad. We're asking her about it several times. She's not answering any of our questions. She's not answering any direct questions. I'm off this plantation thing. Because y'all said Bidenomics was working. It's clearly not. I'm off this. That's what majority of people are starting to see. Majority of people are starting to be all like, and not just necessarily saying they're for Trump because they like Trump in particular. Am I freezing? Not just saying that they are for Trump because they like Trump, but they looking like, hey, at least Trump is honest. At least Trump is clear with his plan. He was clear before, and we had a better time with Trump than you. That's what a lot of people are thinking. And then a lot of people thinking like, well, I'm listening to what Trump has to say. I don't like it. I'm listening what Kamala has to say. I don't like it. So I'm cool with the couch. I'm just cool with the couch. I'm cool with the couch. Some people are even considering voting third party, you know, whatever their prerogative may be. But at the end of the day, the Democratic plantation is falling down. It's sinking. It's a sinking ship. They're trying to patch the holes of it, but they can't patch it fast enough because come November, the ship is going to be at the bottom of the ocean. It's going to be done. Their ship is sinking, and there's nothing. You can't roll out Obama. You can't roll out Oprah. Harris just tried to do something late just tonight with Oprah, that's not going to work because Oprah has no influence in the community. Nobody is looking to Oprah as if Oprah is this wise auntie. Nobody looks at Oprah like that anymore. Nobody looks at Steve Harvey like that. Nobody looks at D.L. Hughley like that. So you can roll these people out. They don't have any influence because they don't have any respect in the community. Nobody's going to take them serious. We might laugh at their jokes or like him on Family Feud or whatever because we like an entertainer, we like their jokes or we like their music or whatever the case is. Don't mean that we're going to take advice from them. They are entertainers, and we're starting to see that now. You can get an NBA player to say vote for you. That I don't gotta trust this NBA player. You an NBA player. You do you over there. I'm gonna do me over here. If I wanted your advice as far as how to shoot a ball and how to make a dunk, I'm gonna listen to you. As far as policy is concerned, just because you can dunk a ball don't mean I have to listen to you. As far as policy is concerned, just because you can tell a joke don't mean I can listen to you. So Steve Harvey doesn't have any credibility, any respect, any influence in the community to sway anything. That's why his interviews didn't make a difference. D.L. Hughley, the same thing. His interviews didn't, first off, they're not really that funny, but that's my personal opinion. But their interviews really didn't make a difference. Oprah, do you know how many black people are calling Oprah out now? That's what I would avoid Oprah. That's how disconnected you are from the community. Oprah is getting called out left and right. Not just by the grassroots. You had Taraji P. Henson crying about the color purple not too long ago. We already discussed that. That Oprah, that's how disconnected you are from the community, that you think that Oprah is going to save you. You think that Oprah is going to sway this election for you? No, I can guarantee you she's not the one. Even Obama. You can bring out Obama and Michelle Obama. They're not even making those many points in your favor. They're not doing that much. Which, by the way, since the DNC, have you seen Obama? I'm just asking. Since the DNC, we're like literally like a couple months from the election. Since the DNC, have you seen or heard or anything like that from Obama? Has she been, when she's been rallying, has he been on the campaign at all? Or Biden? Or even her pick for VP, Tim Walz? Why we are seeing her by herself all the time after the DNC? Have we heard from them? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Have we seen Michelle? Because if you want to say, well, maybe Obama's, have we seen Michelle campaign with? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, let's be honest with you. It did take them a little bit of time to back her in the first place. It did take Nancy Pelosi a little minute to back her in the first place. Remember that when Biden first dropped out, they was kind of like, they kind of dragged their feet a little bit to endorse her. We saw them at the DNC. Ain't really seen them since. She needs this right before the election. We don't know where they at. I think that's very telling. That's very telling. Maybe they understand, like, hey, this Democratic plantation, this ship is crashing, it's sinking down. I don't want to be on it when it does. That's how they're looking at this situation. Like, hey, if this ship gonna crash, let me be as close to the damn lifeboats as possible. Obama in here with a whole life vest on. He got a whole floaty and everything like that. They were like, well, we could help you, but that's right there. And let's stay right back to the lifeboats. We want to be right next to the lifeboats as possible. You got to be right there. Okay. We already told you, we helped you. We was at the DNC, which didn't really make as much of a difference as they needed it to. That's why you ain't really seen him out like that. Now he's been out. Now when Biden was running, you saw more about Obama with Biden than you did with Harris. Obama was supporting Biden more than he is with Harris. Okay. And Obama was one of the people to try to get Biden to drop out. Then Harris gets the top of the ticket, and now you don't see nobody really supporting her like that. Yeah, the DNC thing. Okay. And then after that is, I don't know. Oprah's trying to, I guess, get back in good with the community, so she's trying to help out, but I think Oprah's probably going to do you more harm than good, to be very honest with you. Oprah don't got no influence in the community. And this is how desperate you are and disconnected you are that you don't even know that. You don't even know that. Oprah don't have no influence in the community. Megan Thee Stallion doesn't have any influence. People might like Megan Thee Stallion's music. She's not no activist. Megan Thee Stallion is not no leader in the community, nor is Quavo, nor is Steve Harvey, nor is D.L. Hughley, nor is Oprah. No, none of them are. Nor is Plies, nor is Luke Campbell. None of them are. Oh, that's it. Nor is somebody, nor is Cardi B. Cardi B ain't even endorsing them. Nor is none of them. None of them are. Come on. This Democratic plantation is sinking. And with more interviews like this, it's going to just open the hole up and it's going to sink faster and faster, or create more holes. It's going to sink faster and faster in the ocean. We're going to see. We're going to see if they can come back. I don't think they can. I don't think they can, because black men and black women are like this, moving in sync. As I just showed you guys, they can't put up this gender divide thing, and none of their washed up, no influence celebrities are doing anything to make a difference. It's over for them. It really is. But you guys are here. I need you guys to follow me on my various social media pages, which is Afro Elite on Instagram, and then The Afro Elite on Twitter. And the link to that is in the description below. All right. Follow me on that. Before you guys leave, it's very important that you guys hit that thumbs up button. It's very, very, very important that you guys do that. It's also very important that you guys make sure that you guys are subscribed. All right. If you do subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that, so we can expand the channel. But if you guys were subscribed, please make sure that you guys are still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Also leave a comment letting me know, what did you think of her interview at the NABJ? Let me know what you think of that, and let me know what you think about her accent. Let me know what you think about her having a black accent, a southern accent. It'll thank a union member, dog, and how you gotta understand and thank them all. Let me know what you think about that. And then next thing you know, she's having a Hispanic accent. We can do this together. We have to vote for me to get out Trump. Let me know what you think about that. No Indian accent. That's the crazy part. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Nope, I didn't mean to do that. Pressed the wrong thing. Shout out to the super chat before we get out of here. From Curly Girl, thank you very much. The super sticker, appreciate you. Thank you so very much. Appreciate you. Also, again, we have another one. One last one. We Next sends a super sticker. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. All of that helps and makes a great difference. Once again, happy birthday to our sister Stephanie. I hope you have a good one. And now, with that being said, B1 salute to every single last one of you all. Of course, you all have a good one.